Hi, this is Pastor Eddie Cox. Welcome to the Weekly Five. We have been doing something called Ghost Town. It's been rather interesting since it's Halloween. Trying to figure out we were trying to find life in lifeless things. That was the whole point. By the way, last week we talked about, do we really love God? That was the question. Do we love God more than anything else? And we had to go pretty deep. We have to go below the surface. We have to get down into the heart and find out what's really happening there. And I think some of the stuff that we deal with, some of the things that we want to have happen in our life, it actually comes from, within. We talked about the heart in Jeremiah. This is so crazy, the heart being wicked, and who can know it? So we don't know. It's very deceitful. We really don't know who we are sometimes. And that's why the questions were asked. Do we really love God more than anything else? And so we're going to keep going deeper. And a lot of times we take our Christianity, and churches and religion do this, we make it more about behavior than life change. And Jesus came to transform the heart. It wasn't about editing our behavior. It was a transform of the heart. So that's what we've been working on. And this week I'm going to dive a little deeper and just let you know that this is going to be hard. This is going to be difficult, and we call it generosity versus greed. And those two things are always in play in our life, trying to figure out where we are. Most people never say I'm a greedy person. Most people say I'm a generous person. So we're going to find out as we walk through some of this. Now, Jesus was the first one to bring in generosity. Now, that's very important to know, that giving was always there, but generosity was not. And it worked kind of like this. When I would give something away, this is what happened in the Old Testament. Even in the New Testament, Jesus had to figure this out with those people and make them understand that when you gave something away, you expecting something in return. Jesus comes on the scene and says, no, let's don't do that. Let's call it generosity and being generous. Let's give away things to people when we expect nothing in return. And that was the first time you've ever heard generosity, and Jesus brought it in. So we have to think about these things as we get into our life, get into our heart. How deep do we go with this? And when we look at the trigger word for you, and most people hate this word, it's called money, but it dominates your life mostly. Almost every day you're spending something, doing something. The problem with that is we try to use things to fill our life, this space that God created only for Him. We try to figure out how to fill that space with other things, whether it be money, whether it be relationships. We're always looking for purpose and worth. And so a lot of times we spend money or save money or whatever we do with it in order to find those things that only God can give you. So we looked at this whole thing trying to figure out, are we a generous person or a greedy person? And I think a lot of us never think about generosity and the fact that this was a commandment. This wasn't something you just hope to do. And I think we think generosity is if we feel like it or we have something left over. And that is not what generosity is. This was a command. He said, to those that are rich. And by the way, that would be us. We're in the top 6% in the world in money and making money. So the rich, and even he said in this present time, in other words, we're not waiting on you to win the lottery. We're saying to you, what you have now is what he's asking for you to do, is to give those things away. The thing that you have to remember about this is that generosity is what brings life to you. This is that space. This is that space that he's talking about, and filling our life up with not with things and not leaning into those things, but leaning into God. And so that's why he said to be generous, because there's nothing like a generous life. There's nothing like generosity that brings life to you. So you look at your heart, you figure it out. Which one are you? You generous or are you greedy? You make the call. See you next week.